Imagine being locked inside a prison where escaping your cell is only the beginning. Even if you somehow slipped past armed guards, climbed over towering walls, and avoided being shot on sight, you'd still face one final obstacle, an icy stretch of ocean with deadly currents that had already claimed countless lives. For nearly 30 years, this prison earned a reputation unlike any other. It wasn't just considered the most secure prison in America. It was considered inescapable. More than 2,500 inmates were sent here. Dozens tried to break free. Some were caught, some were killed, and 3 men disappeared so completely that more than 60 years later, the world is still asking the same question. Did anyone ever escape Alcatraz? This is the incredible story of the prison that was never supposed to let anyone out. Chapter 1. The Birth of a Fortress. Long before it became a prison, Alcatraz Island was a military fortress. Located just 2 kilometers from San Francisco, the island was surrounded by the cold waters of the Pacific Ocean. Its isolated location made it the perfect place to protect the city during the 1800s. Eventually, the military realized the island could serve another purpose: a prison. By 1934, during the height of America's crime wave, the U.S. government transformed Alcatraz into a maximum security federal prison. This wasn't where ordinary criminals were sent. This was where the government sent the prisoners no one else could control. If you repeatedly escaped from other prisons, if you attacked guard, or if you became too dangerous for any ordinary facility, you were sent to Alcatraz. It quickly became home to some of America's most infamous criminals, including Al Capone, George Machine Gun Kelly, Alvin Karpis, and Robert Stroud, famously known as the Birdman of Alcatraz. The prison had one purpose: break the spirit of those who thought they could never be controlled. Life inside Alcatraz was brutally simple. Every inmate received only 4 basic rights: food, clothing, shelter, medical care. Everything else had to be earned. Prisoners woke before sunrise. Their days followed the exact same schedule with military precision. Talking without permission could lead to punishment. Breaking rules meant losing privileges. Some inmates spent weeks or even months inside solitary confinement, a tiny concrete cell with almost no light, little human contact, and complete silence. Many prisoners later described isolation as the worst punishment imaginable. The psychological pressure was constant. The prison wanted inmates to feel trapped, hopeless, and powerless. Unlike movies, there were no dramatic prison riots every week. Instead, Alcatraz relied on routine. Routine slowly wore prisoners down until escape seemed impossible. But for some inmates, impossible simply meant they hadn't found the right plan yet. Escaping Alcatraz meant defeating several layers of security. First came the steel bars, then locked cell blocks, motion-sensitive patrol routes, guard towers armed with rifles, floodlights that illuminated every corner of the prison after sunset. Frequent inmate counts ensured no one disappeared unnoticed. But even if someone somehow reached the outside, the real challenge had only just begun. The waters surrounding Alcatraz were freezing. Temperatures often hovered around 10 to 12 degrees Celsius. In those conditions, hypothermia could begin within minutes. Strong currents constantly shifted direction, pulling swimmers away from land and out toward the open Pacific. There was another danger: the fear of sharks. Although great white sharks occasionally entered the bay, attacks on humans were extremely rare. The real killers were the freezing water and relentless currents. Prison officials knew this. That's why they often said the ocean was the prison's strongest guard. Chapter 4. The Greatest Escape Plan. Then came 3 inmates who refused to believe the impossible: Frank Morris, John Anglin, Clarence Anglin. Unlike previous escape attempts, these men didn't rely on luck. They relied on patience. For months, they secretly chipped away at the concrete walls behind their cells using sharpened spoons, homemade drills built from stolen vacuum cleaner motors, and other improvised tools. Each night, they carefully hid the growing holes with painted cardboard panels to cover the sound of drilling. One inmate played an accordion during recreation hours. It worked. Guards never noticed. The men also created one of the most remarkable prison disguises in history. Using soap, toilet paper, toothpaste, concrete dust, and real human hair collected from the prison barber, they sculpted lifelike dummy heads. Placed on their pillows each night, these fake heads fooled guards into believing the prisoners were asleep. Behind the walls, they crawled through maintenance tunnels hidden above the cell block. There, they secretly built an inflatable raft using more than 50 stolen raincoats stitched together with heat from steam pipes. They even made homemade life jackets. Everything was ready. All they needed was one night. On June 11, 1962, the plan finally began. After lights out, Morris and the Anglin brothers quietly removed the ventilation covers. They climbed into the narrow maintenance corridor behind their cells. Carefully making their way through the prison's hidden passageways, they reached the roof. From there, they climbed down a smokestack and crossed the prison grounds without being detected. Finally, they reached the shoreline, inflated their homemade raft, and disappeared into the darkness. The next morning, guards began the usual head count. Everything seemed normal, until they tried waking the prisoners. One of the dummy heads rolled off the bed. The greatest escape in Alcatraz history had already happened. A massive search operation began immediately. FBI agents, the Coast Guard, police helicopters, search boats. Everyone searched for the missing men. Officials discovered pieces of the homemade raft floating in the bay, a life jacket, an oar, but there were no bodies. The FBI eventually concluded the 3 men drowned in the freezing waters. Case closed, or so they thought. Over the decades, strange reports continued to surface. The Anglin family claimed they received anonymous flowers at family funerals from 2 mysterious men. There were alleged sightings in Brazil. In 2013, authorities even received a handwritten letter claiming to be from Frank Morris, saying he had survived and was living under a different identity. Experts could never confirm whether the letter was genuine. To this day, the U.S. Marshal Service still lists the escapees as wanted until they are proven dead. No one has ever found definitive evidence proving they survived, but no one has found definitive evidence proving they died either. Alcatraz closed its doors in 1963, just 1 year after the famous escape, partly because operating the prison had become far too expensive. Today, millions of tourists visit the island every year. They walk through the silent hallways, stand inside the tiny prison cells, and stare out at the San Francisco skyline, a city that looks so close yet once seemed impossibly far away. More than 60 years later, one mystery remains unsolved. Did Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers become the only men to escape Alcatraz? Or did the icy waters claim them before they ever reached freedom? No one knows. Perhaps that's exactly why the legend of Alcatraz continues to captivate the world.